Well, tēnā koutou katoa, everyone. It's great to be here, and sorry it's only for a little bit. I would have loved to be here for the whole day because the last time I came to one of these, was it 2 years ago we had one? Yeah, 2 years ago. There's just the discussion that was going on, the creativity that was going on, and the passion that was going on within each of our communities was really, really special. How many people here? How many people are here from BIDS? Okay, resident associations or similar to resident associations? It's quite a mix. Yeah, okay. Other groups? I can see a bit of Let's Get Wellington moving down the back. Yeah, cool. Well, look, can I just say, first of all, thank you for all coming along and giving your time here. One of the things about Wellington City, I think it's a place with real heart. And, we've got a downtown that's got real heart, and I think that's something which we all love and we've got to nurture and cherish. But also, we're a city which has a unique set of communities as well. And I think one of the great things, maybe it's topography, maybe it's the kind of people that we are, that every one of our communities is different and unique. And that's not something you find in many cities. In some places, you can go, I could name a few places around New Zealand where you can go from one part of the city to another part of the city. You wouldn't know where one starts and the other stops. And you wouldn't really see a distinct difference in the character of those places. But that's one of the things that I think we do have in Wellington. It's something that we should really treasure, look after and build on. Can I just, before I go too much further, just recognise I've got at least two MPs in the House and many of my council colleagues. So Greg and Paul, nice to see you here as well. And thank you for participating in this conversation, because I know these issues are dear to your hearts as well. We're also a city which is facing a huge number of changes. Some of those are these big global changes. We all know that we've got to respond to things like climate change. We also know that we've got an ageing population. But we also have many things which face us uniquely as a city at the moment, and they're opportunities too. So we've got Let's Get Wellington Moving. We were in a conversation with the governance reference group this morning about what's coming up, and that's become a byword for nothing happening. But by crikey, there are going to be some big things happening in front of you in the very near future, and they're going to be things which parts of our city are going to be dramatically affected by. They are real opportunities to make some transformational change over the next couple of years, and then going forward for the next few decades. So big changes happening there. We've obviously also consulted on a spatial plan, which is how do we accommodate the 50 to 80,000 more people that we expect to have living in our city? How do we deal with the things that are, for example, most of the houses that we've got at the moment are predicated around families, and yet we've got that ageing population. So how do we get the right sort of housing for that ageing population? So some big changes, some big opportunities that we've got, and how to respond to those. And I guess probably the big thing here is we've got an opportunity as different communities, is how we as a council work with different communities. And I think, and this is one where I think we've got to keep on having this discussion as a council, we need to let go a little bit. And what we need to do is to empower communities to be able to say, what is our future going to be? How do we want to design our future? Now, as a city, we're going to have particular needs. We're going to say, well, look, we've got to accommodate those 50 to 80,000 people. We want to drive down our emissions, etc. We want to have a sustainable, safe transport system. All of those things are important city things. But within that, how does each individual community shape its own future? How do we do the placemaking? And there are some times where we don't do that very well. And that's something council, as I said, I think we need to do a little bit of letting go and empowering communities and working together with communities. I think we're a city with special character. As I said, every different part of our city has a special character. So how do we make this change happen and protect the character that we love? That's really, really important to me. Where's I going to go next? In terms of bids, I just want to say I think that's a really, really important model. The first bid, we didn't call it a bid in those days. We set up in 1998, which was the Marsden Village community. And that worked really, 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 really well because it was a small business area up in Karori, which was struggling at the time. But I think bringing the business community together to be able to do things together is much stronger than every individual business owner trying to do things on their own, trying to advocate to council, trying to create a better, more attractive place, being able to market that place. And then the last few years, we've had several other bids created, and I've got to recognise Gary in particular for the work that you've done towards helping make those sort of things happen. But what's been great is to be able to go to business communities and say, hey, does that business community want to get together and work in a collaborative way to try and to drive its own future? And I think if you are not in a community that already has a bid, and I know that there are a few here that haven't at the moment, I would encourage you to start thinking about that. We've just recently approved the expansion of the Kilburnie bid, which is really, really great because it's so that now covers sort of the Kilburnie and Rongotai areas. So there are opportunities there, and I think that's a really special one. The way that works, as you all know, of course, is that council simply is the collection agency. So the bid says, hey, this is what we want to do. This is the budget we want to collect from our own people, and we take the money and we give it straight back to the bid, and then we work with the bid. You are much more powerful working together. That's really, really important. And then, of course, working alongside your local residents associations and your resident groups is really, really important as well. So I think those are the main things I wanted to say, but I think really we do have some fantastic opportunities as a city. There are quite a number of initiatives that council is taking at the moment which directly affect different communities around the city. Some of them are relatively small ones. You know, we might be investing in a community centre here or another community centre there. Think about Arrow Valley, for example, Newtown. I know that Kilburney's coming up in that space as well. There are other times we have bigger investments, but there are other times when we're working with the private sector. So, for example, you know, the opportunity, we hope, Greg, to get something out of Stride, but, you know, I think we're getting there with those kind of things. So the opportunity to work with the private sector is really, really important for council and for our communities. So I think there is a really exciting future for all of our communities. It's just really a matter of trying to make sure that we work collaboratively together, that we don't take the power away from our communities, but we empower the communities within a framework of what the city needs as a whole. So thank you for what you've put together, and I'll sit in and listen to a couple of parts of the session, then I've got to dash back over to what is called Festival for the Future with a lot of our young people. So, and I know one of the things that has come through is the need for having more young people involved in some of these conversations. So if I can, you know, if you were here for a bit longer, I'd go and get some of them over there and, you know, direct them down here. So tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.